Chapter 2, Mishnah 1. Someone who makes a vow to donate his erech or someone else's erech must give a certain fixed amount of money to the temple treasury. The amount he pays depends on the age of the person whose erech was pledged and whether that person is a man or a woman. The Torah, in Vayikra chapter 27, verses 1 through 8, lists the amount for each group. The largest amount is 50 salaim for a man between the ages of 20 and 60. The smallest amount is 3 salaim for a girl between the ages of 1 month and 5 years. If the person who made the vow is too poor to pay the full erech amount, the Torah, in verse 8 there, instructs the Kohen dealing with his case to evaluate the situation and set a lower amount for him. The first part of our Mishnah teaches that there is a minimum amount that even the poorest person must pay. There is never a case of an erech vow in which a person pays less than a selah, nor a case in which he pays more than 50 salaim, since 50 salaim is the highest amount mentioned in the Torah for an erech vow. How so? What practical difference does it make whether the lowest erech payment is a selah? The difference is in the following case. A poor person was assessed by the Kohen to pay 1 selah, and he gave 1 selah. Afterward, he became rich and is now able to afford the full 50 salaim. He does not need to give anything more than he already gave. This is because he already fulfilled his obligation when he paid 1 selah. However, if he gave less than a selah, because this is all he was able to afford at the time, and then he became rich, he must now give 50 salaim. This is because when he paid less than a selah, he did not fulfill his vow, and the law is that a poor man who becomes rich before fulfilling his vow must pay the full erech of a rich man. The Mishnah now quotes a dispute about how much we reduce the erech payment of a poor person. If the person who owed 50 salaim had only 5 salaim, Rabbi Meir says he gives just 1 selah. Although he has 5 salaim, since he cannot afford the full 50 selah, he pays only 1 selah. According to Rabbi Meir, a person pays either the full amount of his erech vow or just 1 selah. There is nothing in between. But the sages say he gives all 5 salaim. Since he can afford more than 1 selah, he must give whatever he can afford. The Mishnah repeats the law with which it began. There is never a case of an erech vow in which a person pays less than a selah, nor ever a case in which he pays more than 50 salaim. The Mishnah's description of the law of erech vows as never being less than nor more than is a formula that describes other, very different laws as well. The rest of this Mishnah and the following 2 Mishnahs list several other laws that are described in this way. The first of these concerns the nida and the zava. Under biblical law, when a woman first experiences her regular monthly period, she becomes tameh as a nida for 7 days. Even if her flow lasts all 7 days, but stops before the end of the 7th day, she may immerse that night in the mikveh and become tahor. During the next 11 days, if she experiences a flow of blood at any time, she becomes tameh for 1 day. She must observe 1 clean day, after which she can immerse in a mikveh and become tahor again. Even if she experiences a flow of blood on 2 consecutive days, she still must observe only 1 clean day and can then immerse in a mikveh and become tahor. Such a woman is known as a minor zava. However, if she experiences a flow of blood on 3 consecutive days during these 11 days, she is known as a major zava. She must now count 7 clean days before she may immerse herself to become tahor. These 11 days are known as the days of ziva, since it is only during these days that a woman can become a zava. After the 7 days of nida and 11 days of ziva have passed, 18 days altogether, her next flow of blood, whenever it takes place, starts a new 18-day cycle of nida and ziva days. The start of a new nida cycle is called a beginning, literally opening. The rule the Mishnah now teaches concerns a woman who experienced a flow of blood but does not know whether she is in the middle of her 7-day nida period or her 11-day ziva period. In the present situation, she must obviously act strictly and treat herself as possibly a nida and possibly a zava. However, it is important for her to get out of this doubt so that the next time she experiences a flow, she will know with certainty that she is at the beginning of a new nida cycle. In order for this to happen, she must go through a certain number of clean days. The Mishnah teaches how many clean days are needed for her to be sure that her next flow starts a new nida cycle. We now return to the words of the Mishnah. There is no returning to the beginning of a new nida cycle for a confused woman who has lost count of her cycle in less than 7 clean days, nor does it ever require more than 17 clean days in a row to return to a new cycle. The number of clean days that she will need to observe depends on how many days her present flow lasts. If her present flow lasts just 1 day, she needs 17 clean days to remove herself from any doubt. If her present flow lasts 13 days, she needs only 7 clean days to remove all doubt. The Mishnah's next case is about the Tuma of Tsaras. Tsaras is a set of skin discolorizations, mainly shades of white, that the Torah treats as a source of Tuma. A patch of skin discolored in this way, which has the other signs needed to confirm it as Tameh, is called a Nega, plural Negaim. A person who has this condition and who has become Tameh as a result is called a Metzora. Tsaras can also appear on houses or in clothing, where the Tuma results from red and green discolorations. The discolorations alone is not enough to make the person, house, or garment Tameh. There must be certain other signs present to confirm it as Tameh. If these additional signs are not present when the Kohen first looks at the discolored spot, he confines the person, house, or garment for a week to see if the signs will appear. If the signs do not appear at the end of that week, the Kohen confines them, in most cases, for a second week. If they appear at the end of the second week, the Kohen declares it Tameh. If they do not appear at the end of the second week, the person is Tahor, while the garment, if it is still as discolored as before, is Tameh. In the case of a house, however, if no signs appear by the end of the second week, the Kohen confines it for yet a third week. The Mishnah now states the general rule for Tsaras confinements, and we once again return to the words of the Mishnah. There is never a confinement for Tsaras that is for less than 1 week, and never one that is for more than 3 weeks, i.e., there is never a case where there are more than 3 confinements.